Is it a dance party with Beyonce? Beyonce. Beyonce. Beyonce.
And Donald Trump, bodies, Kamala Harris, man, won that electoral college, won that popular vote, got all the swing states, man. He was not playing around, and the people have spoken.
Perfect.
And you know it's no different this time. We got to get right to it, man. The biggest story, your guy, Donald Trump, Donnie T, bodies Kamala Harris in the election, y'all. I'm talking about your man won everything. You know what I mean? He won the popular vote. He won the electoral college. He won all the swing states. Damn, Kamala, you couldn't even get a swing state, man. What's going on? Yo, it was epic, man. They're calling it the greatest political comeback in history. Donald Trump spoke to the people, man. He resonated with the people. They came out in droves for him. Record numbers and black men, Latino voters.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
Whatever it was, man, it worked for your guy, Donald Trump, man. And I don't know if it was more of what he did or what the other party didn't do, you know. Was it a misstep on Kamala Harris's part not going on the Joe Rogan podcast? Was she focusing only on the issues of black voters and kind of alienating the rest of her potential voters? Was it a mistake to not separate herself from Joe Biden's policies? When asked if she would have done anything different, she said no.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
That might have been a misstep on her part, man. It may be more reflective on what this country is and how they view women, you know what I mean? And you kind of see that with some of the reproductive rights were kept in place or put in place, depending on where you were at. But it wasn't like this blue wave of liberal views taking over the country. And does this country think a woman, particularly a woman of color, can do the job? It doesn't look like they do. You know, Donald Trump got second victory over a woman, you know what I mean? And it really might come down to something as simple as they just don't believe that it's something that a woman could do. Or don't believe it's a job that can be done. I don't know. I don't know if Kamala Harris was the best candidate to put out there as well. It's, you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and pretend to y'all. We didn't hear from Kamala Harris for 3.5 years, and then to put her up there on the front stage like she's everybody's choice, it's kind of nervous, you know what I mean? And it did not pay off for Democrats. I think a lot of the ways that Democrats moved, from the way that they removed Biden and just pushed Kamala in there to, you know, no primary, no anything, it's nervous. It kind of feels like you kind of take the American people for granted. People weren't having it. They were not going for it this time. Whether they believe her economic plans would be better than his concepts of a plan. But guess what? He spoke to how people feel. He spoke to how people feel when they go to the grocery store. He spoke to how people feel when they're filling up their gas tank. And you know what? People are hurting right now. And we're not just going to put in somebody who looks like they're just going to keep doing the same thing that they've been doing for 4 years. You're not going to separate yourself from Joe Biden. You're not even going to be like, yo, there was some things that we could have done differently. And when I'm in office, we're going to do this, that, and the third. It's like, nah.
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Like I said, you know what I mean? She definitely leaned on traditional media. She did the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. You know, she did The View. She went on Fox News with your man Brent Baer. But did she make a big mistake by not going on a Joe Rogan show and choosing to do a Club Shay Shay? You know what I mean? Is that viewed as like she was pandering to one group, or was it looking like, yo, you're kind of scared to get some pushback? You're going to go where you feel comfortable. All of this stuff, you know, Trump was willing to step into the fire. He sat there with NABJ. You know, he was not scared, and you can't be scared to step into it. So yeah, Kamala went to Fox News, but it's 2024, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, you got to go do them podcasts, and you got to go do the long form ones. To tell Joe Rogan, you got to come to me. We can only give you an hour. When Trump's willing to do 3 over there, when Trump's willing to sit down and have a long form conversation, yeah, you're going to look a little crazy. And it's not like she didn't look good. People said that they seen her on Call Her Daddy. They liked how she answered the questions. So you can't be afraid to step somewhere that's a little uncomfortable and just stick to where people are going to show you love and treat you nicely. Yeah, of course you're going to do the Breakfast Club. Yeah, of course you're going to sit down with Charlamagne as many times as possible, but it ain't always going to be patty cake. Sometimes you got to sit there and do the hard questions. And Kamala Harris just was not it, man. Where Democrats go from here is going to be interesting. This is who are they going to pick is going to be a really important choice, because if the new administration comes in and is able to turn things around, it's going to be hard to get back on the Democratic side. Republicans found a way to resonate with black men, found a way to resonate with Latino men, found a way to resonate with bro culture, with young voters who don't step out. They came out for him. They was willing to do it, you know what I mean? And it was like she just wasn't believable. They weren't falling for it this time around. But yeah, your man Donald Trump, the president-elect, bodies Kamala Harris, man, won that electoral college, won that popular vote, got all the swing states, man. He was not playing around, and the people have spoken. Now what's next? Donald Trump spoke a lot of scary stuff on that campaign trail, you know what I mean? Says day one deportations, mass deportation. Say he got some enemies that he want to get at, you know what I'm saying? Say he gonna free the January 6th. He calls them hostages. We call them insurrectionists, whatever you want to call them. He said he about to free them folk. And a lot of people are nervous to see exactly what it's gonna be. But I'm not really doom and gloom which candidate would have gotten there. You know what I'm saying? I'm a generally optimistic person. I know it's not something generally spoken on like a news podcast or informational podcast like this, but I wasn't going to be worried either way, put it like that. Because I believe in we as Americans need to look out for ourselves. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save the day. I don't think Donnie T is going to do it. I definitely didn't think Kamala Harris was going to do it. And you got to get on your grind and do what you got to do. Another thing that people are bringing up is, did Joe Biden really sabotage Kamala Harris's chances by sticking around for so long? Joe Biden could have stepped out of this about 2 years ago, could have said he was a one-term president. They could have had a primary, but no, they had this weird kicking him out. Some people on the right want to call it a coup with the way they pushed Joe Biden out of there. And it was nervous, you know what I mean? There was no primary. People weren't chosen. And I'll say it before and I'll say it again. Kamala Harris disappeared for 3.5 years and then popped up like, what up, y'all? Y'all supposed to love me. You know what I'm saying? Beyonce's coming out for me. Fat Joe's coming out for me. Meg Thee Stallion's coming out for me. But I don't know if those people necessarily resonate with the majority of this country. And no matter what, you might like a song from Beyonce. You might like a song from Fat Joe. You might like a little, you know what I mean? Want to twerk a little something to some Megan Thee Stallion. But does that resonate more than a Joe Rogan podcast that people listen to 3 hours every day, every week? No, it's not, because that connection's already there. You want to connect with black people, guess what? Go to the Joe Rogan show. It's one of the top podcasts that black people listening to. You know what I mean? But don't sit there and say that it's going to be equal to go to a Club Shay Shay or All the Smoke than it would be to go on a Flagrant podcast or a Joe Rogan podcast, because the audiences are just not the same. And it kind of felt like she kind of was staying in an echo chamber where she was going to get love and where she was going to get, you know what I mean, the easy questions where they were going to show her love. And honestly, I think they were protecting her. I think they were scared that she was going to get exposed. Like, she's not the best at answering questions, even in them easy interviews. The kind of people said that she was talking in circles. People were not impressed by the answers, were not impressed with the policies, or did not feel like she was even apologetic by the state the border had been in these past couple of years. And you got people, you know what I mean, no matter where you're at in this country, you're dealing with the migrant crisis.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
You got to address that. Don't sound like it came across like she felt like, yeah, we did everything right. We did everything we could do. I would not change anything Joe Biden do. Nah, man, 80-something years old. He ain't going to remember if you turn your back on him. Be like, yo, Joe messed up and I'm going to fix it. But we need a fix in this country. We need someone that's going to speak definitive. We need somebody who's going to at least sell us on the dream. And Kamala Harris failed to do that. And the country came out speaking in droves. So shout out to the country, man. Shout out to Donnie T. We're going to see how this is going to be. One thing I know, for what I do for making content, Donnie T is always great for content. So I'm not mad at that at all, man. We're going to see if Teflon Don, he definitely Teflon Don for real now. Them cases is gone. Them cases out the window. I told y'all my man was fighting for his life and he did it. I seen 2 people this year go up against unsurmountable obstacles. And one of them was Young Thug and the other one was Donald Trump. And they both beat Fannie Willis out in Georgia because them cases is out the window. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to see where this country's going to go. It's going to be interesting. And you know I'm going to be here at Perfect Talk Podcast talking about it every single day. So make sure you stay tuned. America, hold your head up. I'm praying for us, baby. Perfect Talk is what it do. It's your guy DJ Playboy holding it down for the Perfect Talk Podcast, man. Thank you so much for checking out this short clip. If you like what you see, go check out the full episodes right there. Also hit the subscribe button, turn the notifications on, hop in the comments, baby.